One powerful skill that we all can learn and develop, which will immensely increase the potential and our performance both at work as well as in life. We will go through it today in this session. And before we start on that, as to which is that skill we are talking about, let me first tell you a story. So let me write it down. One powerful skill. While we think about it, just have a thought in your mind. What is that skill that we are going to talk about? Before that, let me tell you a story. Warren Buffett, a billionaire investor, pretty much everybody knows that he's one of the successful investors. And he has made Warren Buffett, who is one of the successful investors, and many people know his story, how he has achieved the success that he has. He has been extremely sharp and intelligent in his school and college years, very early in his career too. But if you look at his office, he does not have any degree certificates of his bachelor's degree or master's degree, even though he has done quite well and it was of significant value to him. But if you notice in his office, the only certificate that he has is of the skill that he got when he attended Dale Carnegie training regarding his communication skill, public speaking and communication skills, and that he values much more than the degrees that he has got through college. And that is for a reason, right? I mean, if I had felt that the reason why he probably thinks that, if it was not for the communication skills that he gained attending that particular training, Dale Carnegie training, he would not be the person that he is today, right? So I feel that when he says, we also have also read somewhere that he also says that by learning communication skills, public speaking and communication skills, you get a chance of increasing your net worth almost by 50%, right? So that's a significant statement, because if you talk about skills, there are n number of skills, right? There are so many hundreds of different skills. And why he talks about communication skill as this so much important one, right? He was not talking about math, he was not talking about finance, he was not talking about economics, he was not talking about a lot of other factors. But why he was speaking about the communication skills as so much important in one's success, right? So let's try to understand. And when he says about increasing your net worth by 50%, you have to be very attentive about that fact and really see whether you can develop such a skill, right? Because we cannot simply ignore somebody like Warren Buffett telling that comment wherein he mentions the importance of developing such a skill. So I at least my understanding of the communication skills that Warren Buffett was talking about is not just the public speaking, as of course that is one part of the communication skill that he was talking about. It's public speaking both in terms of verbal and non-verbal. Verbal in the sense that how you speak to the audience and speak with people. Non-verbal is your body movements, your hand gestures and all of that. But in along with public speaking skills, I think what probably he meant, because it is Dale Carnegie, of course my understanding is probably is more about all the skills to do with people, right? So all people skills. It could be interpersonal relationships, it could be a lot of communication to the people to convince or persuade on anything, negotiate on anything, how to make people do what you want them to do, getting things done, how to have a good relationship, how to have the following, how to become a leader for people. So all these parts of people skills are part of the communication skills, right? So it's not just about only public speaking, and there's also writing, right? These are all very extremely important skills, right? When you say writing, you are writing to communicate to someone, and the way you write and way you influence, the way you have an impact to motivate, influence, inspire, this goes a long way irrespective of the profession that you are in, and it's important in each and every profession, and it's a fundamental and very important skill. And that's what I think Warren Buffett was talking about. By increasing the communication skills capability within you, you increase the chance of you being effective both in your personal and professional area, irrespective of the profession you are in, irrespective of the conditions you are in, because eventually you are dealing with people, and human relationship, it becomes very important aspect of success in any field. So I think that's the reason why I believe Warren Buffett was talking about improving the communication skills, right? So now let's just have a look at why these skills, specifically communication skills, have so much impact on somebody's growth. What we will go through is, first we will talk about why the communication effort, skill will have so much impact, so much positive impact on somebody's work and life. We will go through 7 reasons at very high level, and then we will see how to develop it. Okay, so that we can apply in real life, day-to-day activities, so we can develop and improve. And finally, I will also suggest some artifacts or books. I would at least suggest 7 books that can give much more information and get direction, so everybody can try to improve. So we will go through these 3 things in the rest of the session. First, let's go to the why part, right? Why? Okay, so I have been through the journey of developing my public speaking skills, and I have seen many other people as well. And what I can tell from my experience as well as from reading from many other people is that it develops the self-confidence. Going to the stage and speaking in front of large set of people is not easy, and most of the people have the fear of speaking on the stage. Stage fear is very common, and in many research it was found that it is one of the top fears, also much more than fear of heights or fear of snakes or fear of many things. And that is for a reason, right? And it's all goes back to our civilization, how humans have developed, and how our ancestors have grown from where they were to how they were. There are a lot of theories behind it, but the simple fact is that most of the people are not comfortable speaking in front of large number of people on the stage. When you start speaking or developing public speaking skills, when you go to the stage, you speak about, you articulate, you share your experiences, stories, it has a lot of impact to your self-confidence. You grow in your confidence. You think there is a possibility. You think you have done something which you are not comfortable to do before. You would have pushed yourself going beyond your comfort zone to try and do something which was not possible till then. And over the period of time, when you try to express a lot with in front of the audience, with people around you, more and more you do that, you will be able to articulate it in a way very effectively, and you come out as a very effective person, and that has a positive feedback loop on your confidence level, and your confidence will increase, the self confidence will increase gradually, but in the due to in the short period of time, you will see that growth, from where you were to how you are progressing. So I feel that when you start working on improving your communication skills, specifically on the public speaking skills, your self confidence will immensely improve. Now the second reason why we should improve, right, the second reason is that you need to learn, or everybody needs to learn how to articulate well. Now just think about these things for a second, right? You have geniuses in multiple. Let's say you are an artist, right? Or a banker, or you're a musician, or a sports personality, right? And it could be anything. If you are not able to articulate any particular point, irrespective of the geniuses that you carry, your skills go waste. You should be able to tell and articulate in a way which will be very engaging for people to hear to. You should be able to tell it in a way and articulate in a way people can understand and follow you and appreciate you. So all such articulation which you can showcase your skills, be you are an artist or a banker or musician, sports, doesn't matter, your skills, it can be any profession. Unless you are able to effectively articulate, all the geniuses that you having will go on waste. What's the use of having it unless you're not able to communicate to others, right? So the articulation becomes very, very important, and even not just for making an impression or gaining some positive positive outlook for you or anything like that, but even for real day-to-day problem solving, or any challenges that you would like to communicate and resolve it amicably within the people, all of this becomes very important. And if you are able to learn that how to do that, how to communicate well, how to articulate it in a way, in a structured way where the information goes through very clearly to the people who are listening to you or reading what you have written, so that communication makes a whole lot of difference in the approach that people will take after you communicate to come to a decision or a conclusion or a resolution. So the articulation becomes very important. If you have 1,000 geniuses, so it's of no value unless you are able to articulate. But if you can articulate well, it becomes a greater thing. So that's why we need to be able to articulate well, and that's why we need to learn the communication skill. So that's the second reason. Now the third reason, what I've realized in my own journey, when we actually try to write, we think, or when we are actually trying to speak, we think. And most of the times you might have observed yourself as well, when you try to write or when you try to speak about something, if you are not very clear, you come to know, okay, there is some clarity missing. You do not exactly know what things are. So, actually you try to think at that point of time. So when you try to write, you are not just writing, you are also thinking. When you are actually speaking, you are not just speaking blindly, you are also thinking. And if your thinking is clear, you have that clarity, your words through your, the way you speak or the way you write, the way you communicate comes out very clearly. So all this part of communication directly relates to how you think. And more you think clearly, your communication skills come out well. So when you are actually trying to develop the communication skills, you also need to develop how to think clearly. You have a sensible, rational way of thinking, and a lot goes in the background how to do that, because it's not easy in all situations and circumstances unless you have the experience of actually undergoing such an experience, or you have read somewhere, or you have gone through that experience through different means from some others, etc., it would be not easy to come to clear thinking terms. And that is why when you're developing, you have to develop the ability to think very clearly. Then your communication also comes out very clearly. So if eventually the third reason why you need to develop a communication skill is also that you need to be able to think clearly, and it goes a long way in your development of communication skills. Okay. Now the fourth reason I feel is that interpersonal relationships will improve. Why it will improve is that if you are able to communicate effectively, a lot of communication gaps will go away, a lot of clarity will emerge, and not just the communication gaps, you will also show gaps, obviously you will avoid, will also learn to show empathy. Now this is a most important aspect, going to the shoes of the other person and thinking from his point of view or her point of view and expressing your opinion and feedback on that point. It's an extremely important aspect. You have to be empathetic, and you can call it empathetic communication or major jargon words over there like that. But the simple reason here is that you're not just thinking of yourself, and most of the time it is very important to go to the shoes of the other person and think from his or her point of view how the situation is, how the understanding is, and how can we solve if there are any problems and mismatches or anything like that. And always we have to think win-win for both the people in the interpersonal communication and relationship. That's what matters more. And when you are having to work with people in an organization, your work, or in your personal life as well, having an understanding and meeting the needs of the other person also becomes a lot more important aspect, and communication helps you in developing such a bonding and relationship, and that's why it's very important. Fifth reason I can tell is that you can persuade effectively. This persuasion itself is a skill. I'm mentioning here as a part of a communication skill, but persuasion goes a long way, and it's probably a lifelong learning. But the people, when you are talking about dealing with the people, you are talking to somebody or you're writing to somebody, so obviously you're trying to either inform, but most often it is to influence in some way, to do something, or motivate, to do something. Eventually what you're really doing is you are either negotiating or getting things done, right? And this is a very important skill irrespective of which profession you are in, right? This is very important skill. I mean, if you have to work well in any organization or even in personal life, getting things done from others is an extremely important requirement. And if you look at it, each one of us, you might have already known about it, is like we are selling something one or the other way. We might be selling our idea, or you may be selling your skill, or you may be selling you some point of view, so that the other person does. I mean, even when you're talking about being a parent and asking something to do to your children, right? You're actually trying to sell an idea by doing homework. Your things will get done quickly, you can play later. And you're selling something to the kid, saying that, okay, to do the homework, for example. Or if you're convincing somebody to buy your product or service, you're trying to convince him, telling them that by using so and so product or service, how will they get benefited. So all such persuasion, it's not as simple as I just mentioned. There are so much psychological factors involved, and it becomes very important to think in those terms, come to a structured way to respond, and many times it has to be genuine, in the sense that it has to really be communicated in a way which will be useful to the audience or listener. and it's an extremely important to learn that skill to persuade, and communication skill goes a long way in doing that. Okay, so that was the sixth reason. Now moving on, the sixth reason is to market your skills and ability. Being good at one thing is one thing, but being able to showcase that skill and ability to others, no matter what you say, is also very important, because unless somebody knows about your skills and abilities, it becomes a waste of what you already have within you, right? What we talked about, our second point is articulation, is somewhat similar to that, but the key point here is that when you're trying to market in certain way, you are telling a story probably, or you are telling your achievements in certain different way. All of that are important in your work life in a practical scenario, and communication skills help you do that. And the last but not the least, you will definitely be a better leader. We talked about our skills about persuasion, getting things done, and all of that. These are a very part of the leadership. But most importantly, when you are having a leadership skill, or when you have to develop a leadership skill, you have to stand up for your team or set of people, right? And you should be able to gather the people towards one common goal, motivate, inspire, take them forward. Along with that, you also need to stand up for them if there are any problems. You have to speak for them. You have to convince others to get things done for them. See, all these aspects are also part of a leadership, and even in personal leadership level also, not just at the work level. Because when you actually have to be effective in what you do, for not just for yourself but for set of people, 100, 200,000, etc., you should think and do what is required for them. So, and in that way, getting things done for them becomes very important. All the skills that you learn for improving communication skills, be it standing up for them or influencing others, motivating others, being powerful, being interesting, be it through humor or storytelling, all of this with others helps in getting things done for the people under you. And that's how you carry a better charisma and visibility as a leader, and people follow you for a reason. And more you learn about communication skills, you learn more about genuine human relations, about empathy. You care for people, you give a lot for people. And when you think all of this in a genuinely nice way, where you are really working towards people's benefit, people under you, then overall you are really becoming a better person and a better leader. So those are the 7 reasons why communication skills matters. Self-confidence, your articulation is important. You will be able to think clearly. Your interpersonal relationship becomes a lot better. You will be able to persuade effectively. You will be able to market your skills and ability much better than otherwise you would do. And obviously you will be a better leader both on the personal as well as on your professional level. Right? So now that we understood why we need to develop the communication skills, but very briefly, and you can go on and on and on, but I think the point is clear. Now let us have a look at how to do that. Right? How to improve communication skills. Okay, so here we will go through exactly what we need to do so that we can take the next actions to improve, right? So I feel this is not actual things to do, but the actions we need to take, right? So first one is to decide firmly. So when I say decide firmly, unless we decide very firmly that yes, we would like to improve the communication skills, nothing will happen. Because most of the times what will happen these things will keep lingering in our mind, saying yes, I need to improve, I want to be able to talk on the stage, I want to improve the public speaking skills, I want to be able to write effectively, I want to communicate well. Yeah, all of these things keep going on in the back of your mind, but you don't decide firmly that yes, I will definitely do it and take some actions about it. Because unless you decide firmly, nothing will happen. I mean, you will not take the next action. So that's what I feel, that you have to decide firmly, yes, I will improve. Let's say in next 6 months, this is what I will do, or this is what my plan is going to be. So if you do not have that kind of a clarity and firmly decide for such an next action, nothing will happen. So decide firmly that you would like to improve on the communication skills, and next thing is take action. Take action is not the point, take action immediately is the point. Most of the times, even though you may be thinking of taking action, you forget, or things will happen, and it will not go forward anyway. So if you are going to take some action, try to think a little, not too much, but do think about it. That's fine, but take the action immediately. Do not keep it for later, but because the more you keep it for later, it will go down in some different path, and you probably forget about it. Life happens, right? I mean, the things will start drifting in different directions, and this will keep on going in the back burner. So take actions immediately. I will speak about a few actions here, but we will probably go through in much detail in separate sessions, because there are so much to learn about it. But very high level, one thing that can be done is, probably you can join clubs like Toastmasters Club, which is a specifically club where you can speak in front of the audience, get some feedback, again deliver speech, you improve, you get feedback to improve, work on it, you also read, learn. So a lot of things happen when you join a club like a Toastmasters Club, which is specifically a club for improving communication and leadership skills. The point here is that you need to really practice, maybe deliver a speech, record your speech, then see improvements for yourself, also take feedback from others and apply them and improve. So all such on the ground actions will help you develop yourself in the way you communicate in front of the audience, through your verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and even in your writing, because you will have to write a speech. Sometimes you have to talk impromptu also. A lot of things happen when you join a Toastmasters Club. We will probably go through a lot more detail in separate sessions, but that could be one of the actions you could take. And if you decide immediately, you can definitely find a club near to your place which you are comfortable with, and you can go and have a look also. It's free for joining as a guest, and you can have a look at it. And if it is not for you, Toastmasters Club is not for you, probably you can join something like a public speaking workshop. There will be online as well as in-person workshops. So if you are ready to pay, there will be a lot many more anyway, with people mentoring you, guiding you, all of that. But if you take an action which will be one step forward towards improvement, because the moment you start, the things will start. It need not be public speaking workshop only. It could be like a Dale Carnegie training or anything like that also, which will give overall improvement on the communication skills you can develop on that. So if you take that action, definitely it will help. And if you're not for joining any of the clubs like that, if you're not still comfortable, you still need to take time, you definitely can read books. I will suggest some books which to get some idea. But my feeling is that irrespective of how many number of books you read, unless you really practice on the stage for public speaking or interacting with people, having conversation with different people, approaching new people and starting a conversation, or handling different situations and speaking in those situations, or in day-to-day life, in your work or life, when you meet somebody, or when you are in a situation, or when you are in a group, how you articulate, how you communicate, how do you ask questions, how do you listen, how do you really understand others, many such things make an impact. And just by reading books it may not help, but definitely reading books is also very important action that you can take. The reason being, it will give you the tools and ideas which you can later apply when you are in the situation. And another action you can take is, this is my feeling, most of the times our communication skills are not developed, be it public speaking or expressing the way things are, mostly due to our inability to be more confident in the way we are and the way we communicate. Telling the way things are, or articulating and expressing your feelings or emotions as is, becomes a lot of it becomes difficult for many people when you're not able to be comfortable with the uncomfortable situation. So try to do something which beyond your comfort zone, little by little. If it's your comfort zone, just try to increase a little bit more, try to increase a little bit more. So get comfortable with uncomfortable. It's okay to fail. That's what we need to really understand. Even if you try, and if when you are trying something you are not comfortable doing, the first thing you should know is that it's okay to fail. I understand there could be situation where it is not okay to fail, but most of the time life is there to live, right? I mean, there could be ups, there could be downs, there will be failures, there will be success, all of that. But as long as you understand many times it's okay to fail, you are going to learn from it, you are going to improve it. It's absolutely fine to be able to push yourself to do something which you are not comfortable. So that's how your confidence gets built up, and you will be able to do a lot more. Because all these communication skills are dealing with people, and unless you are comfortable with different set of people, you will not be able to improve your communication as much as probably you would like to, right? So these are some of the actions. Of course there could be hundreds of actions you can take, but these are immediate actions that you can try to check and take, which will definitely lead to somewhere. And the third point which I would like to say, now you decided firmly that you would like to improve. Now you are taking an action immediately, at least one of them. And the third action is, once you start, never give up. I know it's a cliche advice saying that don't give up irrespective of anything, etc. But what I have figured out in my life, and I have read many people others as well, is majority of the things happen, significant improvements happen only with consistency, right? You have to be consistent. Consistency doesn't mean you have to do it daily, or you have to do it weekly, or you have to do it bi-weekly. But the thing is that whatever the frequency you choose, which you are comfortable, do not give up and keep trying, keep continuing efforts. And once you start doing that, they will also put efforts, which is also called as deliberate practice, not just blindly practicing. You're putting efforts to improve where you're not good at, taking the feedback, improving those things. Those kind of deliberate practice, over and over you do, then you start improving. And over a period of time, when you do not give up, start to measure it. Because unless you measure some way, see, in a sense, how many speeches you have given, or how much your communication has been better, how many people you have spoken to who had not spoken, or first time you have spoken approaching a new person, measure something so that whatever you measure, you can improve. You can probably anything. Say for example, if you are going for a weight loss, you measure your weight. You are whatever kgs or pounds, you will be so and so less in the next 6 months. So that is a target. So you measure, you improve. Your financial, so and so is your net worth, your targeting is this much, you are measuring it, you are seeing the progress. Similarly, measure how you are progressing. Do not give up and keep following up with what you have to improve wherever you got the feedback, etc. And that's how you progress on improving. So this is a very high level steps you could take with a simple step or a message that you need to take the action immediately in whatever small form possible. Okay, so decide firmly, take that action immediately. Do not keep it for later, because once you keep it for later, most likely that you will not come back to it. Most of the times it happens, but that's why you sign up for it immediately. Whatever happens later, you can take it, right? So do that kind of actions immediately, and once you start, do not give up. There will be times when the progress is not going to be good, you will not be happy with it, or there will be some challenges in between. A lot of such things will happen. That happens in almost all learning. But when you do not give up and keep trying, keep continuing, keep doing deliberate practice, you will see the light towards the end of it, right? So as I promised about the books part, let's have some books very high level. Maybe I will cover that in a different session in much more detail, but I will tell you because we were speaking about so many skills here, including persuasion. See, this is one of the books. The first book I'm going to refer is How to Win Friends and Influence People. Again, it's a very famous book, very old book from Dale Carnegie. Although some of these some people have different opinion that it's very old book, the things are not going to be very useful, etc. But what I feel, at least, is that the principles that he has mentioned in the book are very fundamental. Many books have been written subsequently using the similar principles, etc. So this book becomes a fundamental, and it's absolutely going to change your life if you have not read anything of this sort before. I can tell you that, because I'm not saying he's right in all the sense or any of that thing, but definitely the concept that he's going to talk about in the human relationships side is absolutely worthless. So definitely have a read through this book. This will not only help in your improving your communication skills, almost all walks of life, definitely it will help. This is all about human relationships. And the second one is again a very famous book, influenced by Robert Cialdini, and this talks about 6 principles in which to make influence, or rather people to comply. Even if you do not use it for everything, but in a day-to-day life for persuasion, these lessons are timeless. And you can definitely, once you get the idea of the basic stuff, you can try to learn more advanced stuff on top of them. There are several books out there, but this becomes a very fundamental and absolutely worthwhile to read it. The third book, this is a recent book. It's Never Eat Alone, and this is mainly around developing networking skills, which are essential part of persuasion, because when you're dealing with people, networking is a most important skill. You may not directly have a relation between communication and networking, but in my view, they are all interlinked and related. And I feel that this is wonderfully written book, very readable, and definitely will take take away a lot from this book too. And next one, the fourth one, The Art of Thinking Clearly. This I feel is a very small book which provides each psychological principle, biases with the stories and key takeaways within just 3 pages for each of them. Very easily readable book. There are many books written on similar subjects around the biases, the mental models, etc. But I felt that this is very concise and a well-written book by Rolf Dobelli on a suggestion from Nassim and Taleb. You might have heard about him, and I think this is very simple book, but still carries a lot of weightage for the concepts covered, and that is very good for the beginners to go through it and try to apply. At least, if not applying, you will be able to also aware if you are being part of any such psychological biases. Apart from that, related to public speaking, I felt that this one book from Dale Carnegie Training, Stand and Deliver, was very useful book for me, at least practically. This gave a lot of tips, and there are many underlining here because I felt that it was a very good book, very practical book. It's very useful if you are going through any club or anywhere you are practicing to take some of these concepts you read in the book and apply in your day-to-day life as well, in your work or in your life. This will be very useful. That is the 5th book. So I do have a couple of more which I can suggest. This is People Smart, again dealing with people, how we can deal that. Very good book. And there is the last one, How to Talk to Anyone. This they say, the author says the principles which I have mentioned during in beginning, right? The How to Win Friends from Dale Carnegie. There are some principles outdated over there, but here she corrects with lot more examples and most up-to-date scenarios and how we can use those principles, etc. So I feel that these books also give a lot of value if you spend time reading it, and not just spending time reading it, but also trying to apply little by little in your day-to-day life and in your work as well as in your life. Okay, those were the 7 books which I think that can help, as I mentioned in the books here. So basically the point here is you decide firmly and take any of the actions, and if you're not able to comfortably join some clubs or do some actions immediately, at least read one of these books, or you can search on the net for so many different books on the communication skills. I'm sure you will find value in others too. At least take that action and keep continuing, so you will get the benefit out of it. Okay, that's it for how part. So we covered the basic introduction part, then we covered the why part, why we have to improve and how we have to improve, and we have also gone through the books which I mentioned about. My only suggestion is that I hope this particular session gave a particular view on why you have to work on your communication skills to improve and how to do it. But most important part is you take the action to do it. Hope this was useful. Thank you.